What's cracking, everyone? My name is Ryan, aka Skeeb23, and this is my audio and tech channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the Focal Radiance. Now these are the Bentley partnership headphones from Focal, and they retail for right under $1,300 US. Now quickly, before I get to the build and comfort, I want to let you know that these came with a very nice portable case. Something that, I appreciate now more so that I had my Hi-Fi Man Arya that came with just a plain box. These are built like a high-end car company intermixed with a high-end audio company, and their offspring was born as the Focal Radiance. Now first off, these are all metal. They're solid black with a gorgeous rose gold accent Focal for Bentley logo on the grille and style highlights all throughout. The cups are actually leather under the grille, which honestly I didn't notice at first till someone else pointed out during their impressions video. There is sufficient clamp force, making these a solid seal and fit to the head, at least on my big head. So I guess it's safe to say that I appreciate the build, design, and comfort of this headphone. Lastly, weight-wise, they are a bit heavier at just over 400 grams, but balanced well with the comfort of the headband, making these not at all fatiguing to wear for longer periods of time. Now these are your typical 3.5mm connections to the cups, by either balanced or single-ended depending on the cable that you choose. Now, I will say Focal did send over a single-ended cable. They didn't send it over. Focal includes a single-ended cable in the case, and yeah, we're just gonna move on from that. Now let's talk about what is typically most important, which is sound quality. So starting out with the treble and high end, I can say for sure that these do not fatigue, pierce, get spicy, or sibilant at all for me. In fact, the treble is a bit laid back, but definitely not on the dark side, as you do get, decent enough detail retrieval from these. Instrument separation is another decent quality of these, though not quite on the level of what I would say compared to my Hi-Fi Man Arya. Moving on to the mid-range, and probably where I will spend the bulk of my impressions, these sound wonderful on mids. Focal is known for their focus on dynamics, and these are no different. Drums have a big impact of punch and slam. Vocalists can get the same impact as well, albeit a bit pushed back depending on the track, but still overall pleasant. Guitar riffs, now, pretty damn good. That's what I will say about guitar riffs. In fact, I had to pull up some Tom Morello just, to hear some more of that sound, and these did not disappoint. Once you get into the lower mid-range, the bassiness of this headphone, they also really shine through. Hip hop, rap, R&B, rock, metal, EDM, electronica, all come to mind for excellent genre pairings. But then I also enjoyed folk, punk, vocal, focus genres and the like. Even movie score scenes such as, Hans produced scores sounded wonderful on this headphone. So that moves us right into the bass and low frequencies. Now, as you can imagine, these do not disappoint. They hit and they have good extension for a dynamic. I threw on some, low hitting hip hop tracks and just chilled out to that sound. But again, this is not a one-trick pony when it comes to bass, as it sounds good across all genres. I definitely would not emphasize the bass anymore with EQ or hardware EQ, such as you would find on, say, a iFi Go Blue X bass button. Now, hint, hint, I'll be doing a review on those soon. Bass doesn't get muddy into the track, and I just thoroughly enjoyed the listen of these. So the only thing left to discuss when it comes to the sound would be the imaging and soundstage. Now to me, these have a decent soundstage for a closeback. In fact, decent soundstage for a Focal. I had previously owned the Focal Clear MG Pro, and soundstage would be the one thing I would probably nitpick on the headphone as being underwhelming. But again, I feel this is a preference-based. Not to be confusing, so to say it again, the Radiance does have pretty decent soundstage, and enough to me anyway when I, put on a concert recording or live recording sessions. Yes, gaming of course. I got a great sense of stage from this headphone. So that also can be said for imaging, and I have no problem, issues, or complaints about the imaging of this headphone. I heard things where they were supposed to be coming from, was able to kind of follow the sounds as I moved along. There was no jitteriness to that while doing so, listening to the Focal Radiance. So I'm going to quickly cover power requirements, as there really isn't too much to say here. This is a 35 ohm headphone with 105 dB SPL, which translates to one hell of an easy to drive headphone. Since they are touted as being portable, I feel this is pretty important and appropriate. I daily them off my Jotunheim 2, but I've also powered them off my iFi Go Blue, a dongle DAC, even straight out of my laptop with absolutely no problems at all. Now I do run these balanced and barely get the volume pop past 9. On single-ended, I got a little more headroom from the Jot 2, but your sources and power may vary on that. Alright, so before I wrap things up, I wanted to mention a couple of fast comparisons. The first would be the Aeon Noires, which I also own and recently reviewed. The sound signature is pretty similar here, but I would, tip my hat to the Radiance for the macro dynamics, pleasant sounding treble, and overall extra meat on the bone. It's almost like saying that if the Noire was a tasty Subway sandwich, the Radiance would be the double meat option you would get. And then comparing it to the Aryas, which I am doing because I also own them, and price-wise they are pretty close. The Arya definitely have more stage, better, instrument separation. Also being a planar, they just have that planar tuned sound to them, which, hopefully that makes sense, and more on that comparison here in a minute. Now, a couple of things I want to mention. The first thing is Focal does recommend on their website and in the manual to give these at least 50 hours of burn-in time. Now, I don't know if I believe in such things, but I can tell you that my first 50 hours spent with these were much different than my most recent hours spent. When I first, listened to these, I wasn't blown away by the sound. And to be fair and transparent, I had been daily using my Aryas, and the signature is just a bit different from those. Which brings me to my second side note. I think these contrast or pair up very nicely with something like the Hi-Fi Min Arya. The reason for this is I feel like the Aryas were built for classical jazz-focused music. The image separation and detail and just incredible stage. Even though they also extend well in the bass, you're going to be left wanting just a little bit more when it comes to the macro dynamics of the Arya, at least to me. So I now have options depending on what kind of mood I'm in as far as what I'm going to listen to musically and which headphone I may go with. And to me, that's the whole entire point of this hobby in the first place. Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed my thoughts and impressions on the Radiance. I spent enough time with them now that, should you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. And in the meantime, I'm going to go and continue to listen to the sound of the Radiance. And while I do that, I will see you in the next one.